I feel like I gave it everything I had, and I feel like I was really, really good at what I did. So, yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm content. I feel good. I'm happy. I feel good about this.
Martin Truex Jr. officially announces his retirement from full-time NASCAR Cup Series racing. Don't worry, he's not going completely away, not anytime soon. Let's discuss. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove on the Go. I'm in North Carolina right now, not at Iowa Speedway, unfortunately, but I am here filming some cool stuff that hopefully you'll get to see here in the next couple of weeks. That was like the least enthusiastic teaser in the history of teasers, but that's what I'm doing. We're here instead today to talk Martin Truex Jr. because yesterday at Iowa Speedway, Martin Truex Jr. officially announced that he will be stepping away from full-time NASCAR Cup Series racing at the end of this year.
It's been incredible. It's been a hell of a ride. I'm excited about the future and not really sure what that looks like yet, but
it was an interesting scene from what I could tell. You had Martin Truex Jr. and his current team owner, Joe Gibbs, on stage together. Then Johnny Morris of Bass Pro Shops hopped up there to directly offer Martin Truex Jr. his congratulations. All very good stuff. Martin's teammates, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Ty Gibbs, were all in the room as well. I never saw Martin Truex Jr. shed a tear. I wouldn't call this an emotional press conference, but it was very reflective, self-reflective.
I would say I've achieved more than I ever thought I would. That being said, there's a lot of heartbreakers. There's a lot of things you go back and think about, like, man, if that had turned out different. But to be able to win a championship is something I always dreamed of, and to be able to get that done was amazing. Just feel really lucky to be surrounded by a lot of great people over the years. So, to all the guys I've worked with, crew members, crew chiefs, team owners. You name it across the board. It's been a true honor.
Martin Truex Jr. has, in my opinion, a first ballot Hall of Fame worthy resume. 34 Cup Series wins, the 2017 Cup champion, 5 Championship 4 appearances, including those 2 Xfinity Series titles back in the mid-2000s. Clearly, Martin Truex Jr., one of the greatest drivers of this generation, and he's very aware of that. He sounded very proud of what he has been able to accomplish. One of my favorite parts of the press conference was when Joe Gibbs explained how he tried to convince Martin to stay for another year, said that they wrote out a pros and cons list, and Joe Gibbs wrote 9 pros and only 2 cons. I thought that was funny. Why wouldn't Joe Gibbs want Martin Truex Jr. to stick around? Truex, right now, even in his age 43, turning 44 season, is 5th in the regular season standings. I would argue he is still one of the 5 or 6 best drivers in the NASCAR Cup Series. He has close ties to his sponsors. Why wouldn't Coach Gibbs want him behind the wheel of one of his Toyotas? We'll talk more in a few moments about what this may mean for Joe Gibbs Racing, but back to Martin Truex Jr. specifically. When asked why he decided this was the year he should finally step away, Truex had a few different answers, but this is the one that stood out the most to me.
21 years I've done this. I've never missed a race. I've never missed a practice. I've never been late for anything. I've never missed an appearance. I mean, you live your life by a schedule that somebody makes for you, and it's just time for me to make my own schedule.
Sounds an awful lot like what Eric Almirola said when he stepped away from full-time racing at the end of last year, and we've seen Eric Almirola this year racing in the Xfinity Series part-time. Both Martin Truex Jr. and Joe Gibbs heavily implied yesterday that this is not the end, that Martin Truex Jr. will continue to have a presence with the team, that he will likely make another Cup or even some Xfinity Series starts sometime in the future. He just won't be racing full-time. You won't see Truex contending week to week for a championship. But this likely is not goodbye forever. Truex will be back, likely behind the wheel of a race car again. So that's pretty cool if you ask me. Someone directly asked him about the Daytona 500. Is that a race he may have circled? It's one of the few major NASCAR events he has not won. And Truex said maybe. You might see him again.
I still love racing. I'm still going to race some. I don't know what, when, how, why. I don't know any of that yet. I'm going to figure that out. But
final thoughts on Martin Truex Jr.'s career, and I'm just thinking out loud here as we go. Martin Truex Jr. had a really interesting career, from getting those couple of wins early on for Chance 2 Motorsports, working up the DEI pipeline, only for his career to kind of sputter. He went to Michael Waltrip Racing, ran well, kind of rejuvenated his career a bit, but never looked like a championship contender until he got to Furniture Row Racing, of all places. And even then, if I recall, and I should look up the stats to get this exactly right, his first year with Furniture Row was not good. This was back when they were still a Chevy team. Yeah, his first year with Furniture Row, 2014, he had 0 wins, 1 top 5, finished 24th in the standings. 1 year later, Truex had that 78 in the Championship 4. There's one guy who I do not believe was at the press conference today who I kind of wish was, and that's Cole Pearn. Because Cole Pearn and Martin Truex Jr.'s stories, especially in the late 2010s, are very much intertwined. For about a 4-year span there, from 2016 to 2019, Cole Pearn and Martin Truex Jr. were arguably the most dynamic duo in stock car racing. I looked up these numbers earlier to get them right. 23 wins in 4 years. Obviously won the 2017 championship. How improbable that story was, that a Colorado-based single-car team could win a Cup Series title in the modern era. That's an amazing story all on its own. But 23 wins in 4 years, 3 Championship 4 appearances in that same span. Martin Truex Jr. deserves a ton of credit because even after Cole Pearn left, Truex at JGR was in another Championship 4 with James Small. He's continued to contend year in, year out. Just last year, Truex was the regular season champion. So not taking away from Martin Truex Jr., but like I said, his career and Cole Pearn's are very much linked. So I do kind of wish Cole Pearn could have been at the press conference today. Instead, we did get a rare, once a year tweet from Cole Pearn. Responding to NASCAR Chasm, who pulled this old classic. Oh, gosh, leave it to Cole Pearn to completely change the mood. But yeah, sorry, that completely derailed my train of thought. Martin Truex Jr. kind of had 2 completely different careers. Looked like one of those what-if stories for the first decade, turned into one of the most dominant drivers we've ever seen the second decade. Congratulations on a tremendous career, a career that's still going. That's the thing. Martin Truex Jr. is 5th in the regular season standings right now. We're not even halfway through 2024. Martin Truex Jr. could very realistically contend for a championship in his final race as a full-time Cup Series driver. Do you realize how rare that is in any sport, let alone NASCAR? I don't think it's happened in NASCAR since what? I guess Jeff Gordon in 2015. Truex still has 5-6 months to add to his already Hall of Fame worthy resume. Respect. I respect this dude. I respect him for making the decision early in the year so that now for the next 6 months, the entire industry, the fans, can celebrate his accomplishments. I hope he doesn't shy away from the spotlight. But congratulations to Martin Truex Jr. Like we talked a little bit about in yesterday's video, immediately our attention does turn towards the future of Joe Gibbs Racing, because a Joe Gibbs Racing seat being available is a huge, huge deal. This is a championship contending ride. Regardless of who the crew chief is, this is a top tier seat. Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic asked Coach Gibbs directly yesterday what they're looking for in a future driver. And Coach Gibbs deflected, saying, quote, "We're still working on searching for our next driver. We just want to focus right now on Martin, and all of that stuff will take place later on." Now, multiple reports, including one from Jordan Bianchi himself, suggest that Chase Briscoe is the leading candidate to take over the 19 seat. You look at the list of known free agents. There's Chase Briscoe, Noah Gragson, Josh Berry, Ryan Preece. I'm sure there are a lot of contracts out there that are somewhat malleable. We've heard about Eric Jones. There's guys in the Xfinity series like a Chandler Smith, a Corey Heim, who's in trucks. There's no shortage of qualified candidates, but at the very top of that list, in my opinion, is Chase Briscoe. So it makes sense that the top driver free agent, in my opinion, would be first in line for probably the top available seat in the Cup Series this silly season. So we will have to wait and see. Doesn't sound like a deal or announcement is imminent, but we'll keep our eyes peeled. Congratulations again to Martin Truex Jr. on a wonderful career. Iowa Speedway this weekend. Did y'all watch practice earlier today? Had a few cars blowing tires on that repave. I don't know what they were thinking with this repave. It could produce some crazy action, chaos. It could also ruin NASCAR's inaugural Cup race at Iowa. I am on the fence, keeping my fingers crossed, holding my breath. That's going to do it for this episode, y'all. Thank you for watching. I will be back home later this week. I'll see you after the Iowa Cup race Sunday night. Have a wonderful rest of your day, folks.